And it's Monday Night Live, which means we will be taking some of your calls very, very, very soon. But let's fly into the topical bits and something that is very, very interesting, I think, in relation to Paul Pogba. Some good news. He's actually put it on his Instagram today that the cast has come off his ankle, and that basically means that he is obviously a lot closer to playing for Manchester United than he was with his cast on. That would be hideous. If we are to believe what has been said before, as soon as the cast comes off, it could be 10 days before he plays again. So Sheffield United is 11 days away, 13 days away. Outside chance that he plays against that. I mean, would you rush him back for that? Potentially you would, because it's a big game, isn't it? But we'll have to wait and see on that. But more interestingly, the title to the video, Pogba is key to Erling Haaland transfer. Now, some people don't like that title because they don't understand it and they don't wait for videos to start. Now, this is something that I even wasn't aware of. So, you know, what does that mean? But I wasn't aware of this. But the situation is, with regards to Erling Haaland, this is the striker that everybody wants from Salzburg. He scored another hat-trick at the weekend. He's doing big, big things. He used to play for Ollie at Mulder. He's still under 20 years of age. A fantastic striker. And I will be talking about Rizzy United, don't worry. And look, I think most of Man United fans would like to sign him. However, very, very, very interesting quote that I'm going to read you from him here. He says that my father has a contact with Mino Raiola. Yes, he was involved when I moved to Salzburg, so I think he could help me with the next move. So Mino Raiola helped Salzburg sign Erling Haaland and will probably help Erling Haaland move from Salzburg to wherever he goes. And suddenly the heart drops and the red flags go up. Mino Raiola, the person who arrogantly thinks he's bigger than Manchester United. Mino Raiola, the agent who basically screwed us over when Mourinho first came in and sold us a load of tosh. Mino Raiola, the same agent in June who was saying that my client wants to leave Manchester United and Manchester United know he wants to do it, i.e. Paul Pogba. Mino Raiola involved in Haaland, and that to me straight away makes me think I'm out. I do not want us to deal with Mino Raiola, but I suppose it is the epitome of football these days, isn't it? Player power owns football. And, you know, I think United made a massive mistake in the summer. I've said this many a time. I like Paul Pogba. I think he's a good footballer. I think he's a great footballer. But I think he'd run his course at United. He was right to want to move in the summer, and United were right to sell him. But we didn't. We thought, we're going to act like a big club. We're going to keep Paul Pogba against his will. And we've riled Pogba and we've riled Mino Raiola. And I think that Pogba now becomes the key to any deal we do with Haaland, because there's talk that Juventus want Haaland. There's talk that Juventus want Pogba. And there's Mino Raiola in charge of both players. So United may well have to look at a Mandzukic, because they may have to not look at Haaland because of Mino Raiola. So look, he's probably got his fingers in many pies, quite literally. Some would say he's eating them pies, but that's not very nice. But the reality is he's got his finger in a lot of pies, and I'm not talking about meat pies. I'm talking about footballers' pies. That's not a metaphor. The reality is that this could be a very difficult deal for United to do. However, you can flip that pie the other way round, as it got a golden bottom. But the reality is that this could be a good thing for United, because Pogba could be a bargaining tip in this deal for Haaland. We could say to Mino Raiola, yeah, we'll let Pogba go. Let us get Haaland. So let's watch this space with this. But I definitely think that it complicates the issue a little bit. I thought Haaland was all about, people were worried that his dad had that bad injury against Roy Keane playing for Man City, and maybe he wouldn't want his son to play there. We all thought, I didn't think that was much of a thing, but I did think that he's played under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. That's a big thing. But the reality is, as we saw with De Ligt, I thought what De Ligt did in the summer was disgusting. And I don't really give a shit about De Ligt. I don't really care what happens with his career. I think for a teenager to be touted around Europe and end up at Juventus when you'd pretty much agreed a deal with Barcelona, then you were going to PSG, United were used as part of it, and he ends up at Juventus, all because of Mino Raiola. I think it's a dangerous thing. And I also think that we probably are not going to be able to sign Haaland in January now if Mino Raiola is involved, because Look, Salzburg, I think, would take about £50 million for Haaland, and I think he'd be perfect for United. But I think United will steer clear of this because we've seen with De Ligt, the biggest thing out of this is we saw with De Ligt what happened. We had De Ligt going to Barcelona, PSG, United, Barcelona, PSG, Juventus. If Haaland's going to go and Mino Raiola's involved, it's going to be is United are interested, Juventus are interested, and we'll just end up losing out. So I think we're going to have to look elsewhere, to be honest with you. Raiola will use Haaland as leverage to get Pogba's move. Win-win for Raiola. Shocking agent, says Matt Rush. And I think, that's our only hope in that deal now, is that we can use Pogba as part of that. And apparently Juventus really do want Pogba. We've spoken about that before. Juventus really do want Pogba, and Gazzetta dello Sport were talking about that. And I start to think, we think with that Pogba is going to Real Madrid because Zidane wants him, but I don't know, he might go back to Juventus. I mean, he really likes Juventus. Juventus have got Ronaldo, they've got De Ligt, they've got a good squad. He might want to go back there. We'll see that. I mean, he came back to United, didn't he? So why would he not go there? Reason we should get in quicker for top players before Raiola gets his clause in. Bruno Keane, and we ignore him, says Lynn Hall. I just want to give a shout out to Rizzy United here as well. He's on Twitter, RIZZYUTD. He's got about 10,000 followers. And I saw one of his tweets tonight. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but he basically had said that, throughout the summer, he'd been going on about why United should sign Ziyech, and then they just go and keep Mata. And he got a bit of ridicule. He got a bit of ridicule from somebody saying that, oh yeah, United should listen to a football fan over their scouts. Well, look, I'll tell you some facts here, right? Manchester United scouts, Manchester United Football Club, they're professional. They're one of the best clubs in the world. And, I'm not disrespecting their scouts or anything, but I'm not having fans being disrespected either. Just because you are a football fan doesn't mean that your opinion is any worse than these scouts at Manchester United, who, to be honest with you, have done a pretty shit job. Now, maybe they're good scouts not being listened to by Woodward, which we've heard the rumours are, but if that's the truth, whistle blow. Get your whistle and blow. Because the fact is, I know from doing this channel over the last 3 to 4 years, and I'll back Rizzy on this, I know that loads of you come out with players that, United should go for. And we see these players go to other clubs and they become very, very good. 4 years ago, I was talking about Lozano in Mexico. He's been since then to PSV, Napoli, and everybody knows who he is. 4 years ago, you didn't. Fabinho, 4 years ago, me and a lot of other people were talking about this right back at Monaco. Doesn't play for Brazil, he can play CDM. Before Liverpool were even probably looking at him, 3 years before he went to Liverpool, we were talking about him on this channel. So if you've got somebody like Rizzy talking about Ziyech, saying, that's the player we should have bought, but no, we give Mata a 2-year contract, how can you ridicule that? How can you ridicule that and say, I think our scouts know more than football fans do? Oh yeah, because Ziyech's so bad and Mata's so good. It's nothing. The thing that makes me laugh about this is that, look, it's not even an argument about fans against scouts. They're paid to do a job. We're not paid to do this. We watch a lot of football and we think they'd be a good player. Who knows? Ziyech might flop at United. But let's have it straight. United didn't go, we're keeping Juan Mata because he's better than Ziyech. Manchester United kept Juan Mata because he's cheaper than Ziyech. You keep Mata at the club, you don't have to spend 30 million on another signing. You just give him his wages every week. That's why we kept Juan Mata. All this nonsense about he writes a good vlog and he's got loads of experience. When's Juan Mata captained any club or led any club over the last 10 years? He's not that personality. So shout out to you on that one. I get quite wound up about this sort of thing in a debate sort of way, because I just do not believe that football fans are any worse in their opinions than managers. I mean, we've seen managers sacked, and I've seen all of you lot go, Van Gaal should be playing Herrera, Mourinho's a plonker for playing Fellaini, Moyes hasn't got a clue, and you're all proved right. And of course they've got the coaching badges and they know how to put the cones out and do this, first cone and back, second cone and back, but it doesn't mean they're not infallible and they don't make mistakes. As for scouting, bloody hell, it just shows that people really don't understand what scouting's all about. Do you know what scouting is? My granddad used to do scouting. Scouting is going and watching football games and basically giving your opinion on a bloody player. You're not the bloody Prime Minister, it's opinion. And there's a very thin line between a scout and a fan. I'll tell you that for a fact. So let's not pretend that scouts have suddenly, you know, they've got a badge on the thing. It's not the bloody thing, ip, dip, dip, dob, dob, dob. They're a person who goes and watches football matches around the country or around Europe like you do. And their opinion isn't actually much, can be a lot worse. Pogba and his walrus Raiola can leave Manchester. We should get Timo Werner instead of Haaland and steer clear of Raiola players. I'd love Timo Werner, Victor Batteris. Mino is bad for football, says Wrecking Wenchers. Wish the FA could ban him. Well, it was meant to be banned. Everyone is playing Football Manager in regards to signing. We need to be realistic. Not much usually happens in January, says Who Me. I don't think we'll do much in January, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. There's still no update on Scott McTominay's injury, other than it could be between 2 and 8 weeks, which I said before. You may not have watched the Goldbridge rant at the Monday. I do a Monday Goldbridge rant about the weekend. I was talking about VAR and some stuff. Also, Matic has come out and said, I want to whiz through because I want to get some callers. Matic has said that he doesn't want to wait till summer. He wants to go in January because he's unhappy about his game time. You know what I'm going to say? Wrap him up and send him to Santa and get rid of him in December. I want Matic gone. He wants to be gone. Happy days, get rid of him, you can go. Easy work, that's fast. Also, United are on a 7-game unbeaten run at home at Old Trafford. I read that today. I think we've drawn 3 and won 4. Yay, happy days. Maybe you're happy. I want to, when you call in actually, please do mention what you think about United at the moment. We've also been linked to Wilfried Zaha by the Sun, so, you know, wipe your bum with it or think it's real. The interesting thing about Zaha is we do get 25% of any sale, and he does want to leave Crystal Palace. So, I think, you know what, I don't like going back. I don't think you should go back. I know we've got a first refusal on Memphis Depay. I don't think you should go back. But you know what, I think Memphis Depay or Wilfried Zaha in that front three as an option would be a brilliant signing. You know, I really like Rashford, Dan James and Martial. I was talking about this about lunchtime, so I don't want to repeat it. But I like that front three, and I think if you could get a decent midfield behind it. I mean, you look at United over the last few years. We've had Zlatan, who was a legend but slow. We've had Lukaku, who was just, you know, trampoline toes. We've had Sanchez, who's like, you know, digging his own grave in his football career. And now we've got 3 young lads who are really, really, you know, quite inconsistent at times, but very exciting. So I think if you added Zaha or Memphis Depay to that, I think they'd fit in because they can play across the 3 positions as well. I'd like it to happen. I don't think it will, but I would take Zaha back now. Yeah, I would. I think beggars can't be choosers. So, but at 28, Illa United's probably about right. Ultra 67 says Memphis would be a big yes. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that. Pogba's cast we've done. Matic 7-game unbeaten. Haaland. And Shane Duffy made a very good point, and I'm glad he made it after I'd done my show at lunchtime, because I mentioned how I thought Brighton played terribly yesterday. I thought they played like plonkers. I think they came to Old Trafford, thought they could play us off the park, thought they could press us high up the pitch, and thought we were a bad team. And it played into our hands, and it played into our plan A. And our plan A, we don't have a plan B. Our plan A is hit teams on the break and stretch them. Well, Shane Duffy, who played, I think he plays centre-back for Brighton, doesn't he? He's come out and said that, you know, we made a mistake. We'll learn from that mistake. We ended up 3v3 a lot of the time. We left loads of space at the back, and they're too quick and they hurt us, which is exactly what I saw. So I think Brighton absolutely played into our hands yesterday and showed what a good team we are when teams give us space at the back, which is why I think United at the Emirates, I think we could get something. I know I'm calling that early, but I think we can get something at the Emirates because they'll attack us and we can hurt them on the break. I think we are set up very well to hurt teams on the break. So I think it surprises me that our away form has not been that good. But when you look at our away form, we've lost to West Ham, Bournemouth and Newcastle. And they're all teams that, even though we're the away team, will be the favourites. So they'll sit back. I'm looking forward to seeing us play Spurs or Arsenal away. Maybe not Man City. I think they'll batter us, to be honest. Having watched them yesterday, I thought they were unlucky. But it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Let the calls begin, and hopefully thought out and intellectual ones, says Who Me. Yeah, I want to get on the calls, and we're going to get on the calls. Please do smash a like on the video. I've whizzed through everything there. Interesting about Mino Raiola, isn't it? And, you know, I do want to get onto the calls tonight. Lots of good shows planned this weekend. I've watched the Flex and Rant show tonight. That's brilliant. Don't miss that. Make sure you watch that tomorrow. But let's fly into some of these calls. What I want to do before I do this is just show you something. Nothing like that. No, so this is Discord. The link's in the video description for Discord. So people don't know how Discord works. This is our Discord server. So this is how you call in on the United Stand now. It's a free app, but you can only get onto it through the server invite, which is the link in the video description. Now, when you go into it, let me just make sure that this is actually working. So Right. This is great. Okay, so look at this bit here where it says new mentors. Okay, so you've got Ask Goldbridge here. This is a daily sort of forum. We've got match day, we've got general, we've got transfers. If you remember, you can treat this just like a normal forum, and we want to get more people on it throughout the day, 24/7, interacting with each other. If you think about Twitter and you think about the old sort of forums, these are the sort of things you can ask me questions. I'll reply as well when I get on there. Hello Walk, says McCarthy. So yeah, it's a big like chat debate thing that you can have on the United Stand. Then if you move down, you've got all your you go into the live chats here, the live queues. So the live show's where I am. I'll be going in there in a minute. You can't get there without being put in there. The waiting room is where we get people waiting to come in. And then you've got all the calling queues, which has got loads of people talking. Now you can go into these calling queues 24/7. If there's people in there, you know, we've had little groups chatting away for hours. And you can just go in the calling groups and talk to people all around the world. So that's the calling queues there. You just move down calling queues, and then you can move up to the chat groups here where you can just update it like a forum. Loads to get involved with, and we're going to start using Discord a lot more. So links in the video description for that. Get yourself onto Discord. It's 24/7. That's just the way it goes. Right, I'm going to get in the live show. We're going to wait and get our first caller on. We've had a super chat as well. International breaks are always freaking boring. I want to see United, says Ataro Vinalgas. I think it's come at the wrong time for us, if I'm absolutely honest. But let me just get our first caller on, and we'll go from there. Hello, you're live on the United Stand. How are you doing?
Hello, Mark. I'm just talking about Ollie in and Ollie out.
Okay.
What are your opinions on it? What do you think? What are you in Ollie in or Ollie out?
Oh, thanks for that, mate. I mean, look. All right then. Well, look. You tell me what you think first, then you show me yours. I'll show you mine. Tell me what you think about Ollie in or out.
Personally, I'm Ollie in because the recent results have been really recently, except from the Bournemouth game, obviously. Then I just think he needs financial backing by the board, and he'll be a good manager, right, in my opinion. So not about other people's opinions, but just pretty much my opinion on it.
Have you always been Ollie in, or have you had any doubts, or is it yesterday's result?
It's not just yesterday's result, because I knew since he was appointed manager, started getting really good result. I thought it was manager. It doesn't really remind me about the past results and how I think the manager needs backing by the board. Really.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I came into the season. I was like, look, I don't see myself turning against Ollie. The board haven't spent money in the summer. The things that worry me about Ollie, though, are just, I think he's only got a plan A. I want to see him have a plan B. I'm a little bit confused why we've gone to 2 centre defensive midfielders when he first came in, he had 1. And I wasn't happy with the way a few weeks ago he said, it's my fault. I've got the board. I had the money and I didn't want to spend it. But I hope he can turn it around. I think between now and Christmas is going to be a really interesting time.
Yeah, from what you said about his fault, I think he's only doing that because, like you always say on your show all the time, he's like a puppet to the board, isn't he? He just wants to protect the board for some reason, and just because he wants to keep his job, doesn't he? So I don't really like him doing that. I would like him to like Alex Ferguson, like coming out and saying that what he likes and not likes. So,
yeah. I do. I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt on that, and he could just be, protecting the board, because that did come out at the same time that Woodward was doing his interviews and propaganda to try and get people behind him. Just quickly, because I want to whiz through loads of calls tonight. What do you see United doing this season? What do you think's realistic? A lot of people think we can win the Europa League. How high do you think we can get up the league? What do you think? What are you thinking?
I think it's a hard question, to be honest, because it's this early. But I think we could get top 4 if we have a good run of games and not lose and stuff. But we have to be consistent. Pogba has to be consistent. Rashford, Martial has to be consistent, and certainly De Gea has to be as well. But what's it called? I think we could win the Europa League, but we just need to rest players in the Carabao Cup. We're playing them Saturday's games or whatever it is Sunday. Then we're playing them on Tuesday. Then Thursday, all the 3 games in the week out on it, so we need to just rest players on it. That's my opinion. The realistic finish is 5th or 6th or 7th, but if we could go up to 4th if we was consistent.
Cheers for calling in, mate. Really appreciate that, for opening the show.
Right, cheers. See ya.
Cheers, pal. Right, let's just get into another call as well. Hello, can you hear me? You're live on the United Stand.
Hi, Mark.
Hi, you're right.
Yeah, and yourself?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. I'm just going to read a super chat out before I come to you. Saurabh Chowdhury says, Mark, let us all get together and support Leicester for the title and save the world from what it becomes if Liverpool wins it. Leicester aren't going to win the title. I'd like Leicester to win the title, but they're not going to win the title. What do you want to talk about?
Just like 2 or 3 things. I on the whole Ollie in, Ollie out thing.
Yeah.
I feel like it's not as simple as that. Like, there's a lot of layers to it, and I feel like there's a lot of things that you need to think about. Like, the Ollie out is like, I want to ask them, what's next? Like, who are we going to get? And do you actually think the next manager will be able to do what all the managers couldn't do before with the same board? Like, will the next manager get the money that they need to succeed if Ollie goes out? So I feel like the whole Ollie in, Ollie out argument, like, it isn't as simple as that. It's a lot more complicated, and there's a lot more things to think about. So, yeah. And then just one other thing, because I know that a couple of weeks ago you were very passionate about the way that we play, because I noticed it too. The way that Ollie plays now, or the way that he sets the formation up now and the players that he chooses now, is very different to what it was when he first started. I don't know. I assume, or I think that he does it this way because he is playing for his job now, and the board don't understand football, so they only look at it as like a win or a loss. So I feel like Ollie is playing a more safe game, even though we're still losing. He's playing a more safe game in the hopes of us being more defensive and not losing, because he knows, or I don't know if he would know, but the board don't know anything about football. They only know whether or not we win or lose. And I think that's why he's playing the way he's playing. I don't agree with the way he's playing, but I think that's why he's doing that.
I think that I do agree with you with the first bit, because that's pretty much been my stance. It's like everyone was saying last week, why you're not Ollie out when you're moaning so much? And I'm like, yeah, I am moaning because the results are not good enough. But I agree with what you've said there, and I've said it myself. If Woodward sacks another manager, where are we? He's the problem. He sacks Solskjaer, he brings another manager in. That manager we want out within a year, when the cycle continues. I think what we need is total change within the club, hopefully from the very top. The owners need to go, Woodward needs to go, and then maybe Ollie does need to go, but he shouldn't be going first. That's the first thing. On the style of play, I agree as well. I think that we are playing very defensive this season, and I just think it's because the midfield's so bad. I think that we're playing 2 CDMs because the midfield's so weak, and we've spent on the defence, but we just left the midfield. What do you think? We are in the international break. Sheffield United after the break, then Villa, then I think it's Spurs in the league, and then it's Man City. Do you think we're going to see a run now, or do you think we're going to see what we've seen this season, where maybe we will draw against Sheffield United, beat Villa, lose to Spurs, lose to City, win the game after that, and it's just going to be very inconsistent?
I think it depends a lot on what Ollie is wanting to achieve, like if he's going for a cup, or if he's playing for the Premier League. Like, there's no way that we're going to make top 4. I would want to make top 4, but there's no way that we're going to do that. So Ollie did say that any cup counts, or any cup is important. So it depends on which one he's going to prioritize, and depending on that, we'll play our best team. But I would want to go as far as possible in the Europa League, because I feel like that's the best way to get into the Champions League. But thinking forward, like, what are we going to do at the Champions League next year? Like,
I'd just like to be in it, to be honest.
Yeah, but like, what are we going to do? Like, there's something that we're going to do.
Yeah.
But
we'll just be like Arsenal, won't we? We'll celebrate getting into it, and then not do anything when we are in it.
Yeah. So I think, I just want us to progress. I want our players to develop. I want to see a better Rashford. I want to see I'm looking forward to see what McTominay becomes and how he develops. And I really hope that Pereira can improve, because I like him. I think he has a lot of potential, but he's really playing badly. And yeah, I'm excited to see how our players are like developed and how much progress they make. That's what I'm looking forward to, because I feel like that's the only positive that can come from this season.
Thanks for calling in. I really appreciate it, and some really
you.
good points.
Wait, just one last thing. Sorry. This is unrelated to the United stand, but on your personal channel, would you ever do like a call-in show for going for?
Hello? Sorry, you cut off there.
Oh, for your personal channel, would you ever do like a call-in show, like a Discord show for going for Goldbridge?
I'd never thought of that, but I certainly will now. It's a good idea. So yeah, thanks for the idea. I'd never thought of it, but yeah, certainly will.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Take care. Okay, so let me just take very good points from both callers. Please do smash a like on the video. Should get Martin Odegaard, Player of the Month in La Liga, playing for Real Sociedad, CAM, with lots of goals and assists, 20-year-old and wants EPL. But he's a Real Madrid player, Stian, isn't he? So that presents its own problems. It is a good point. What is Ollie going for and prioritising? We never discussed that on here. We want X and Y, but what is he fighting for more? It seems he's fighting on all fronts, but priority now from who me? I'm disappointed in you there, Humi, because I've actually, and Tyrone Williams says excellent call, that last one. It was well articulated, and I think it really cut through a knife through the Ollie in out debate, definitely. But I have said this, Humi. You might have missed the show, so I'll give you some leeway there. But I've said this. When have Manchester United ever gone into a season and not set out what their priorities are? I remember Gary Neville saying it. You know, every season it was about the Premier League, and Sir Alex used to say it. But this is probably, and even Mourinho, every season used to say, we've got to get top four, and then it's about, can we get in a title race? Ollie, United have refused this season to say anything, and I think this is part of the problem as well. I'm not going to forget the problems at Manchester United because we've beaten Brighton. And that's not being negative. It's called realism. I thought Brighton were terrible yesterday. I know Partizan Belgrade were terrible. So for me, what's the big difference from the loss to Bournemouth? We're only going to find out after the international break. But, I do criticise United in relation to this constant future talk. In the future, we're going to be good. In the future, we're going to be good. I've said this so many times. If you're an employee of Manchester United and you're being told, in the future we'll be fine, it doesn't matter now, as a player, you're going to be, doesn't matter now, in the future something's going to happen that's great, but it doesn't matter now. And I think that's a problem. And I think it's also a problem when you don't set out what your targets are for the season. What are our targets for the season? Ollie has spoken loosely about it'd be nice to be in the Champions League, but there's not been any, we've got to get in the Champions League this year, and I think that would be useful. And maybe it's been said behind closed doors, but why would you not say it into the public? We haven't set the targets. Humi is right. We have not set the targets this season, and I think that has left the fan base very confused as well. Hey Mark, swap Pogba for Ronaldo, says Johnny Bologna. I still would, actually. I still would, if I'm totally honest with you. Please don't smash a like on video, everybody. We're going to take another call. We've covered all the topical stuff at the start of the video. Make sure you get on Discord, by the way, because it's not just about the live chat. I want to start getting on the Discord and interacting with people, so I might do 10 minutes after the show. Let's take another call. Paul, we're running a little bit low, Paul. So if you can put me some more in there, that would be great. I'm just going to take another one. Hello, you're live on the United Stand. How are you doing? Hello, hello, hello. Can you hear me? We can't hear you. I think you're trying to talk, but I can't hear you, which is a shame. Oh, that might be why. Wait a minute. Oh, me bloody! Whoa! This is embarrassing when I'm live. Let me just chat with the live comments and I'll be back. He's going for Europa, you clown. It's obvious, as Ian McDonald. Why'd you have to call me a clown, Ian? Like, why do you have? What? Can I just give everybody a life lesson here? When you make a good opinion, don't destroy it by being abusive. He's going for the Europa, you clown. It's obvious. Well, I'll tell you what, you clown. being as we're using abuse as, to put our point across, at what point has he told us he's going for the Europa? It's obvious. Oh, we've all got to be Paul McKenna now, who is a magician or a bloody mind reader. You know, it's not obvious. Because
Welcome
he's not,
back, Mark.
he's
I
not
can
done
hear
that.
you.
He's not done that. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, can you hear me? Yeah. Go on then. What do you want to talk about? I've got you back.
Loud and clear, man. Well, first of all, thank you for having us. And I think Paul talked about how today is about Ollie in and Ollie out.
Yes, go ahead then.
Well, I guess I'm a drop in the ocean, Mark, but I'm definitely Ollie in, man. I'm guessing you want to hear my reasons for that? And
Yeah,
because I'm sticking to my
100%, yeah.
My reasons for that are because I'm sticking to my expectations when we got Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as our permanent manager. There's this funny thing that you do. Give him time. It's 1999. Yep, give him time. It's not 1999, but give him time. And I tell you why. Because as much as we all love Manchester United, Ole loves it just as much as we do. I don't think anyone can hate this. And he's shot the signs that he's been listening to fans, or at least is in the same page with the fans in terms of the kind of players we've been crying out for at our club. We've been crying out for Deadwood to be chucked out. We've had 3 experienced managers who did the total opposite. They played them day in, day out. And I feel like one selective memory in terms of where we come from, in terms of the player squad that we're witnessing at Old Trafford. All of a sudden, we've got this Brendan Williams, Mason Greenwood, Martial starting at number 9. That's a big, big move from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer that I think people shouldn't underplay. Because we've been crying out since he was signed that there's no player, I say this in November when we talk to each other, there's no player at Manchester United who gets me off my feet as much as Anthony Martial. And I found people trying to compare him to Rashford and all this. His IQ is levels ahead of Rashford's. And the fact that Ole realizes this and plays him in that number 9 position with confidence, he doesn't think twice about this. For me, shows that Ole is in line with how we think. Now, I get it, it's a results game. But then you look at our squad, yeah? What has happened in our season. We've had injuries to our major players. We've been on on autopilot with Fred and McTominay, who've stepped up to the game. But we've been on autopilot with our best players out of the pitch. And yet Ole has managed somehow to handle the Manchester United pressure, as big as it is, and still get some results here and there. Fair enough, we've had some very disappointing results, and those will still come, by the way. This is not me saying, oh, we've turned a corner. Probably haven't. Probably have to strap up and get ready for more disappointments. But this will come with a new manager at a big job like this. I feel like people have changed their expectations for Ole ever since he became the manager. Let's stick to our expectations. He's going to come in, clear the deadwood, clean up the house for a new manager who's tactically proven or tactically strong enough to come in and continue the vision. But if we get rid of Ole now, all we're doing is setting ourselves 2 steps back, because we'll get another manager who will come in and say, well, you know what, I don't fancy Martial, I don't fancy Wan-Bissaka, and then we're starting again. So for me, I feel like people, not patient, but people need to be consistent with their expectations. And when they come to life, as in getting bad results here and there, people should stick with the manager until he can finally get rid of every single player who doesn't represent us as the fans, as what we want to see at Old Trafford, and allow another manager to come in and have a new set of players he can have a good job with. So I feel if we get rid of him now, it's a bit immature. And he's been nothing but what I expected him to be. A Manchester United man who understands what we have to do. Fair enough, here and there we've been defensive, but that's again because it's a results game. You can't go all out every single game. So I'm fairly confident with Ole in terms of him not winning us the title, anything like this, bringing us into a position as a football team, as a club with the mentality that we need.
I think it's a really, really good point, and I do have a couple of things to come back on, and that is that First of all, I think that the injury thing, I think that that's down to the club. We didn't, we 1 or 2 injuries to this team and you're going to struggle, and that's not acceptable from United's point of view. On the Deadwood, I think you're right, but however, I think keeping Phil Jones and Juan Mata and giving them contracts was unforgivable. So I think he has made a mistake there. But I also think that you are, it is important, and I think it's a good point, and it's not been made on this show for a while, that he is a fan of the football club and he does want to do what we want, and he did that on the opening day when we didn't have Young or Matic playing. He does get that. The question with Solskjaer is, and what I liked the most of all what you said, was that he's putting things in place for the next manager. And I think that might end up being the case, because I'm not 100% convinced that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to win us trophies that we need to. I don't think he's going to win us the league. I don't think he'll get us in the Champions League. But it's almost as if he is sort of restructuring the club. But I hope he does take us back to winning the Premier League. I hope he does get us winning to the Champions League. I think what's happened over the last few weeks, though, and I want to get your thoughts on this, is that no matter how we back a manager, it gets to a point where you sack yourself. And I think Ollie has been close with the points that he's been getting and the results, where 15th in the league in November, we could have been that yesterday. He has got close to that point where no matter how patient you want to be, it wouldn't be wrong to sack him. And he's done that himself. So I hope, like I'm sure you do, I hope he's going to turn this around. And Paul Scholes said the same last week. We all hope he's going to do it, because it's the best scenario. He's a United fan. He's played for the club. He's trying to get it back to what it was before, and I hope he does. But I am realistic to the fact that
I know he will, Mark. I know he will. I know he will. I want to give one more point about Paul Pogba coming back into the game. I hear a lot of people saying Paul Pogba might be sold on and he might move on. And I understand where people are coming from with this thing. But I am Paul Pogba is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's man in terms of building the team around him. You look at the team the way we're playing now. You bring back Paul Pogba into that number 10 position, which is where he was playing when he got his record-breaking numbers last season. Around this time, I mean, I know it was December after Mourinho was sacked, which is Cardiff. So, but it was around this time, when Pogba came into his game, he was playing advanced position and he was getting us the goals. If Pogba comes in, people are getting happy about the Martial and Rashford connection, which is absolutely brilliant to see. But people are forgetting about French connection. And I'm saying watch out for the French connection, because if it comes, I know for a fact Ole will do anything in his power to make sure Paul Pogba stays. Look at Real Madrid right now. Look at Barcelona, the state they are in. There's a case for Paul Pogba to stay at United if the vision is right, if the vision is stuck to, and if the fans are behind it. Eric Bailly also is a big shout over Lindelof, in my opinion. But besides that, I just wish the fans could take it game by game and not be too reactionary after the game. I get reactionary after the game. I was pissed off after Bournemouth. But then I sort of calm down and have a coffee and think about it and say, look, we're in a much better position in terms of philosophically than we were when Moyes, Van Gaal and Mourinho were at the club. And I was a huge advocate for Mourinho. So,
fantastic call, mate. Please do call in again. I'll speak to you again soon.
Thanks a lot, Mark. It's a great show.
Really, really good call. Please do smash a like on the video. And I think the brilliance of that call is that this is the brilliance of doing this show on a Monday night. It gives other opinions that aren't mine or the live comments. I think and I really, really do. The only thing I would say from that is that, and he's saying, we shouldn't be so reactionary after a result. The problem with this season is it's been poor. It's been inconsistent. I still think it's probably our worst start to a season since 1986. I haven't heard that for a while, but I still think it is, because we've only beaten Brighton since Bournemouth. So it's been a very bad start to the season. And I don't think anybody has a problem with being patient with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, by the way. I think nobody has a problem with that. But I think the problem is you can sack yourself. If we were floating around 7th, if we were in Arsenal's position, Arsenal are fed up because it's year 2 under Emery. If that was our first season under Ole, we'd be okay with that. We'd be disappointed. We'd be like, we're not going to get top 4, but we'd be like, we're 5th or whatever. We can deal with that. We can work with that. I think with Ole, because we've been flirting with the bottom half of the table so much, and we've had so many bad results, I think he's put himself into this position where people are divided. But he can definitely get it back. he can definitely lose it. And I think that's where we are in this international break. I think we're in the halfway house. It's like he nearly sacked himself a couple of times and he got results. I think if he'd lost to Norwich, it would have been hard to stay. If he'd lost to Brighton, it would have been hard to stay. But he always keeps just doing enough to stay in job and keep building. And while he's doing that, let's be honest, if we'd lost to Norwich, I think he would have been sacked. If we'd lost to Brighton, the pressure would have really been on. But while he keeps staying in the job, the longer he stays in the job, the better his chances are. Because while he's staying in this job, you're getting Dan James is getting better, McTominay and Fred are getting better, Martial is back, Rashford's getting back better because he's playing with Martial. If Pogba comes back, that French connection, Pogba will make us better. So, we are getting better as a team while he's staying in a job. And maybe what will happen, instead of lose, win, draw, lose, win, draw, maybe as the team gets stronger, it will start be win, draw, lose, win, draw, lose. And we'll start winning more games and we'll gradually get better and better. We'll have to wait and see. But I think the big thing with Anthony Martial as well is we'll have to just wait and see whether he can stay fit. Because I love Martial as my favourite player, by the way. But I do have concerns about how long he can stay fit because he has been a bit injury prone. So hopefully that won't be a problem. Please do smash a like on the video for all our callers. We're going to take another call in a moment. Who says, as you said many times, Mark, we're on a par league for league with Juventus, Bayern Munich, Benfica, Ajax, PSG. None of them teams, quote, need time and a building process. It is for the now and it's a smokescreen. And I think Who is right there. I've said this many a time and Jose Mourinho said it as well and he was spot on. Basically, why is a club like Manchester United a work in progress? What big club ever gives a job to... Can you imagine Juventus saying, we're going to appoint this manager with no CV and we're going to give him 3 years to see if it works? Barcelona, we're going to forget Real Madrid for 3 years. Let's just give them 3 titles on their history page. We're just going to wait 3 years and see if it works. It's not, again, but this is not Ollie's fault. It's like when, we get angry with Ashley Young, we get angry with Jesse Lingard, but the reality is, do they walk into training on a Friday morning and say, you're picking me, sit down Luke Shaw, because I'm playing, Young's into house? That doesn't happen. The manager picks the players and the board picked Ollie. And I have never seen this happen at Manchester United, where I've never seen it happen at a big club where they write the next 3 years off in the hope that this is going to work. And it is hope and it is a risk, but it does fall down on the shoulders of the board, which I think is absolutely inept. I'd love us to get bought and I'd love Woodward to get sacked, and then you would assess how good Ollie is. And I think that's the running theme for me through all the callers as well. Maybe Ollie does need to go, but he doesn't need to go first. He doesn't even need to go second. First the owners, second Woodward, and then the new owners come in, assess Solskjaer and go, do we want to stick with that or do we want to go elsewhere? That's what I would like to see. Simon Cliff says, Mark, can you release the first 5 shows of the United Stand for a bit of nostalgia? Can't make Christmas do, but we'll attend next year. Thanks, Simon. As you said many times, Mark, we're on part. Yeah, we've read that one. Mark, the clown movie Joker made the most money ever for a comic book movie. That's from Zayn Miasi. George Ramos, Mark, what do you think of Ricky's comments yesterday? And I think you have a big agenda on Matic. I feel sorry for him. Mate, I don't like George Ramos. I do like George Ramos, but I don't like people when they say you've got an agenda. I don't have an agenda with anybody. I don't have an agenda with anybody. I don't dislike anybody. I don't live my life that way. I watch football. It's my passion in life. And actually, I don't really see these footballers individuals because I don't know them. And I wouldn't want to know them. Imagine if I had like Rashford sliding into my DMs and he had a bad game. And I would be watching the watch along and I'd be going, God, Rashford's shit. But I'm not going to say it because we're mates. He's taken me out at the weekend to Burger King. I'd be like, oh, unlucky Rashford. I don't want that relationship with players. I don't want to interview them. Not current players. I'm not interested because they are just commodities and they're very expensive commodities, but they are just players that play in the shirt of the club that I love. So I don't have an agenda. I don't dislike them. I judge them on their performances on the football pitch. And if they're not good enough, I criticise them because I've been doing that for over 30 years. And most people do that. So I don't have an agenda with Matic. It's built up on a fact. I never wanted us to buy him. I could tell he was coming to the end of his career when we bought him. We got absolutely rinsed. He's a donkey. He's slow and he doesn't suit what we need to be. So that's not an agenda. It's just a dislike of the player. Thomas Bladen says, I think it will be more damaging to get Champions League as the board will see that as a positive and won't invest in the summer. Well, I would have thought we would have invested in the summer anyway. Zayn Mayasi says, Mark, there is not much money in winning the league, etc. You are such a big brand. Glazers just wait waiting to sell on in the future. Hey Mark, yeah, we did that one. Should get mine, yeah, we did that one as well. Okay, let's go back and take another caller. Caller. Where am I? I'm sat doing the United stand. Let's try you. Hello, you're live on the United stand. Can you hear me?
Hey, Mark, how's it going?
It's good, thanks. You?
Good. I'm Ollie in. Just wanted to say.
Everybody's Ollie in tonight.
Oh,
Flip flop.
well, I was out.
You're all flip flop.
I was out before because I thought he wasn't he wasn't capable of the job. The job was too big for him. Like he just wasn't experienced enough. But I feel like you're not gonna get better without having mistakes and like bumps in the road. You know what I mean? He's gotta learn from certain mistakes that he makes. I'm still a little worried about certain things and certain players not getting enough game time, but I feel like he's on the right track. And from the Brighton game and the Partizan game, both those games should have been like 5-6-0. You know, if we just had like one or two more like like a DM and then a creative midfielder, you can really with or without the sale of Pogba and or giving him a partner, that team is almost pretty much set in my opinion. You know, you buy a backup striker if the young forwards in the team can continue to perform. Like Martial, like I said a few months ago when I was on the show, he looked like a brand new player. You know what I mean? He doesn't look like the same guy anymore. He looks like a completely new player. So all they got to do is work around the main like focal points of the team where the strengths are, and just play. As long as they play with cohesion, then I don't see the team really having struggles. And you see, 1-0 to Bournemouth, which was like another bump in the road. But things like that are going to happen. It's when you get the 4, 5, 6 losses, 7 losses in a row, that's when it gets really scary. And that's when everybody starts to change their opinion and feel differently about it. But I feel like when they come back, like even the Brighton game, we scored right back. You know what I mean? I want to see that every single game, every week. I don't want them to take their foot off the gas. Like I want to see these players committed to the team.
I mean, just reminded me of something there that's been in my head for a few days, but I've not actually got round to thinking about talking about it in a show. So thanks for sort of prompting me about this. One of the big differences we've got with Van Gaal and Mourinho when they were coming towards the end, and why I think Saeed, I don't want to shout him out again, but Saeed from the fan cams was Ollie out 3 weeks ago, and I said it was a risk. I was late in being Ollie out, in Mourinho out, because I wanted to make sure. And I felt with Ollie, it was always too early to jump with Ollie out. And it's funny because Jay David says Mark's the biggest flip-flop when it comes to Ollie in or Ollie out. Well, you will never find a video in all the hours I've done over the last few months saying Ollie out. So I've not flip-flopped. I've been very critical. I've said he can't be far off from the sack. I've said if he loses this game, I'd find it hard to be Ollie in. But he's never lost that final tipping point. He's not pushed me to that point of saying it. So, but what I would say is, with Mourinho and Van Gaal, it became very obvious that the players weren't playing for the manager. And it became very obvious from the press that it was being leaked out into the press that they'd lost the manager.
Yeah, yep.
With Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, categorically, 100%, I know for a fact that he has not lost the players and the players are 100% behind him. So that is a big, big difference. And that's something I've always kept in my head as well, because I know this, about the whole Ollie out movement. I'm only going to jump when I'm pretty sure he's going to get the sack, because otherwise you're running a show, you have got an agenda then, because it's a personal thing. I'm Ollie out, and then I'm doing a show every night when I know some people are Ollie in, and it's important to understand both sides. But the players are with him, Alec. The players are with him, and that to me says while he's got that, he's got a chance.
Mm-hmm. And because he plays better football, and he has an understanding, obviously, club. Like at first, like I always said, like the job's too big for him, and with the run of games we had, and having less points than Mourinho and blah blah blah, and from his last year and the beginning of the season, like any other manager would have got the sack. Like everybody knows that across all 20 teams in the league. So we obviously believed in him and trusted in him in the process, but the one thing that does bother me is how people they're not willing. It is a ride. It's not just 1 month. It's not 4 games. Like it's a serious process. It's like we're the biggest club in the world. You know what I mean? People have to not be so fickle. I get that sometimes he does look like a headless chicken. Like he just doesn't know what he's doing, but that was before. And like you said, you get a lot of flip flops and people changing their minds, but it's when you get the full trust of the players and the commitment in how they play is what I think, is what's changing people's minds and getting them to believe, because they're committed throughout the whole game. You don't see them frustrated. You don't see aggravation between the manager and players on the sidelines and stuff like that. Like, you actually see that they're willing to, they're trying to put their bodies on the line. They put their bodies on the line for this club and team, and they're committing themselves to the rebuild.
Definitely. Thanks for calling in, Alec. Another Ollie inner, and I really appreciate it. I'll speak to you again soon, mate.
Have a good one, Mark. Thanks.
Cheers, pal. Ollie in is. You know what? I've enjoyed that. I've enjoyed the calls tonight, because we get a lot of people saying, "Oh, the negative stands, you're all Ollie out," and I know a lot of you are Ollie out, and I respect that. And as somebody said in the live comments, you've straddled the fence like a champion, Goldbridge, over the last few weeks, and I think I have. I'm aware of that. I have to do that because, you know, it is the United stand. This is the United stand calling, and I have to sometimes flirt with both sides. That's part of being a presenter. But as many people will know watching the show, I'm not afraid to have my opinions. Like, I'm not going to straddle both sides with Matic. I think he's crap. You know, I think Lingard should be sold. Doesn't mean they can't come back and be, you know, great players for us. They won't, but, you know. But with the Ollie thing, I've never said Ollie out. I've been close. I've been very, very pissed off with him. I'm very angry with what he's done. But I've never said those words. And, you know, I think at the moment, it's like going back to the caller who says reactionary. We're very reactionary. And I think he is right. But that's not a negative thing. And the caller himself didn't say it was a negative thing. As football fans, we are reactionary. You know, we are, you know, we do get angry and then we calm down. And I think that, you know, yesterday everyone was happy, but it's interesting today when you're looking at comments, you're looking at social media. I think today reality bit a bit. You know, everyone's like, "What? It was a really good, exciting performance. Are we going to be consistent after the international break? Is that midfield still good enough?" And I think that's something we're going to find out certainly in the future. I mean, look, I'm not going to sit on the fence of this. If you're asking me right now what I think is going to happen with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Manchester United, and this is just a feeling, this is not a statement, this is just a feeling, I ultimately think he will end up getting the sack. I think he'll get the sack before he wins a major trophy. And by a major trophy, I'm not saying he can't win the Europa League, but I don't think we'll get in a Premier League title race with Ollie. I just don't. I don't think he's that level of a manager. And at the moment, he's not. So it's not like, oh, if we go and win the Premier League title with Ollie in 2 years, everyone remembers this and goes, "Ha, you were wrong, Goldbridge." I'm not wrong. I'm basing it on the fact he's got very little CV. He got sacked at Cardiff. He came in here for 3 months, played great football, and has never played that formation again. And he's been very inconsistent this season. And his record actually isn't that good. And it's one of the worst starts to the season we've ever had. However, on the other side, there's some really exciting players at United, and we haven't really spent enough money yet. So he could turn it around. I think what'll happen is I think there'll be another bounce. I think there will be another bounce. I think after the international break, I'm going to say it early. I'm going to say it right now. I think we're going to beat Sheffield United. I look at that Sheffield United side, and I know it's done really well. But quality, they just haven't got the quality we've got. So I think we'll win that. I think we'll win Villa. Then it's 3 wins in a row. And then we'll be all buzzing, Ollie's at the wheel. Then we're going to play Spurs and Man City. And then we're going to be like, how good are we really? And maybe we don't win either of those games. And then we're back to being 7th or 8th again. And we're like, oh, you know, I think it's going to be one of those seasons. I think he will be here next season. I think Ollie will be in charge next season. But then I think, like Emery at Arsenal, if we have the same start to the season as this year, I think people will go, right, he's had his time. He's had a full season. We're going down that same road again. I think Ollie will be gone by Christmas next year. That's a prediction. And that's not being Ollie out. I really hope he's here for 20 years and we win 20 titles, which won't happen, but 10 will do. But yeah, let's have a look at some of your comments then. Ollie is United. The board will support him with what he needs to build a strong young team for many years to come, but he should have bought 2 to 3 class players in the meantime to produce results this season. That's from Jenks. I agree with you, but I disagree with you about the board. I think you absolutely do not understand our board if you're making a statement that the board will support him. They won't. Mark, what's our obsession with English players, says Magic Eye? Well, hopefully we will move away from that, but until they do, you know, it is a valid question. Can you imagine if the Saudis bought United and made Pep manager, says Zayn Miasi? And Zayn says, I'm depressed about Arsenal. I think I might order some strippers and pizza to drown my sorrows. It's a path well trodden. It's not necessarily a good one, but, you know, whatever rocks your boat. Who says, sorry, have to politely disagree with the caller. Clubs around the world this size do not have bumps in the road and mistakes. The world's best do not give time and accept, let's hope and wait. Which I think is reflects on, that doesn't even reflect on Ollie, really. That's not being Ollie out. That reflects on the board. And I don't care if we miraculously win the league this year. That will be down to Ollie and the players. It's not down to the board. I think the board, ever since they came in, and, some of you won't be old enough to remember this, but, and Humi says, can I come round to Zane's for the strippers as well? I think that this is a fact, and I think that some of you might be too young to realise this, but despite what Sir Alex Ferguson did at Manchester United, and let's not forget he retired winning a Premier League title, I always felt that Sir Alex Ferguson, when the Glazers came into the club, was doing it with one arm tied behind his back. There wasn't loads of money swilling around. We used to get told there's no value in the market when we needed midfielders. Sir Alex Ferguson was just the greatest manager there's ever been, and he did it with one arm tied behind his back because this board bought us on debt and didn't want to spend money as much as they should be. And we've definitely seen that since Sir Alex Ferguson retired. Moyes spoke about players he was promised and he didn't get, and he didn't last very long. Van Gaal came in and spoke about players he wanted and he didn't get, and he said also that the club is not run by people who know football. Mourinho's come out, didn't get the players I wanted to get. Again, issues with the ownership, and Ollie at the moment is in the job and he's happy to be in the job and will not slate the board, but the reality is, I think we all know, he didn't get what he wanted in the summer either. So this football club is the problem. This structure within the football club is the problem. And maybe the managers were rightly sacked. I think they probably were. But I'm not going to be unsympathetic and say that they had their arms tied behind their back, because they have. And I think, yay, we beat Brighton. Yay, we all want Ollie to be successful. Of course we do. But we should never lose sight of what we were saying in the summer. He had £60 million net spend. That's abysmal. That is absolutely abysmal. We all said in May he needs at least 200 million. He got 60. Barely 25% of what he needed. And whether he's good enough or not, the eyes should never wander away from the ownership of the club. They will not release what is needed to make Manchester United great. And it's not just about the money, because we have spent some money. It's about who's controlling the money. It's about directors of football. It's about listening to scouts. It's about bad decisions. And this is why, for me, United will never get back on top while we're owned by the Glazers, and I'll keep saying it. Mark, love the show, it keeps me going, says Magic Eye. It's been a fantastic show tonight, an hour show, which we don't always do, so please do smash a like on the video. Really good calls. Get yourself on the Discord. The link is in the video description. It's an invite only link, so it's only open for the United Stand viewers. Get on there. We've got chats, forums that you can be on 24/7. We've got voice call groups you can go on 24/7. Get yourself on there. There is questions you can ask of me as well in one of the chat groups. You never know when I'm going to be on there, but I will be on there over this week because it's the international break, so I've got a bit more spare time. Get on there, carry on the conversation, and if you don't want to talk, you can just do it on the typing bit. Thanks everyone for watching. Before you go later, great show tonight, Mark. Good calls and enjoyable for a cold Monday evening and no football for 2 weeks. Nice one, says Who Me. And we've got a new member as well. Bay Area Buggy Boo is a new member of the United Stand Members Club. If you want to support the channel and be a member of the United Stand Members Club, you get a little badge next to your name so everyone knows it. Just click the join button. Really helps us out. I don't ever want to be one of those channels or outlets that go Patreon or whatever and say, come on, be a member, or come on Patreon and get exclusive content that I'm not going to put anywhere else. I just find that ridiculously arrogant. Oh, look at me. Look at me. I've got private content on a Patreon page that you can come and watch. I don't really want us to do that. So, but if you want to support the channel, become a member. Thanks everybody for watching. I'll speak to you tomorrow. We have got Flex and Rants at 1 o'clock. It's a very good show. And I'm live every night at 8 o'clock through the international break. We'll get through it together, and I'm sure there'll be lots to discuss. May even do another call-in show on Wednesday night. Thanks for watching. Speak to you all soon.